Ho, ho, ho. Hey, what's up? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of SimplyPodLogical, a simply nail-logical podcast.
Happy Taco Tuesday, everyone.
Christine, I'm done my Christmas shopping.
Really?
It's all done. I bought myself a pizza oven. I'm done.
Amazing.
Finito.
Good job. Yeah.
My Christmas gift to you and everyone I care about in my life aren't that many people. Just a few people. I make them pizzas.
You're going to make your whole family pizza for Christmas? I mean, that's fine.
Not for Christmas.
Just
At
for...
some undetermined date. On Christmas, I'll just be like, hey, I got myself a pizza oven. I will make you pizza sometime.
So it's an IOU Christmas present.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's an idea.
This episode is sponsored by Shopify. Thank you, Shopify. More on that later. Mm-hmm. What kind of Christmas pizza do you want?
Christmas pizza? What
do you want your
like,
what do you want?
Does that
your
mean like pine needles and cranberries on the pizza?
Yeah, we're gonna make
weird.
tree flavored pizza.
Tree sap, maple syrup pizza. Not that weird for
I feel
Canada.
like it could be done. Although dessert pizza, unless we're talking about like a Dairy Queen treats a pizza, there's no dessert pizza, right?
Yeah, I don't.
What is a dessert pizza?
I don't think it's pizza at all. I just think it's.
Is there instead of bread? What if it's just a cookie?
That's
the whole dough is a cookie.
I think that's usually what dessert pizza ends up being, right?
But I could eat a big cookie.
Just a giant cookie.
What could I make?
Franken cookie.
Can I make cookies in a pizza oven? It's just,
I don't see why not. Sorry, I scared me. I got
we
so
both
excited.
got excited at that.
Wait, yeah. Can you? Will it burn like the bottom badly?
Well, you make just a real thin crust cookie.
Would all the chocolate chips just melt through?
This is how Italians eat cookies.
But then what happens when you make your next pizza and it just kind of tastes like chocolate chips?
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know.
Do you want your pizzas to have a hint of brown sugar and chocolate? Semi-sweet chocolate?
Would you be an asshole if you served dinner and it tasted like chocolate chips?
Probably. And if everything tasted like chocolate chips, then it's not fun anymore.
Unless you like chocolate chips.
Nothing's fun anymore.
Oh my God. Okay. Speaking of fun.
What are we doing today, Christine?
We are reading more Am I the Asshole? But it's not necessarily holiday edition, right? These are just like generic life edition.
Generic life edition. That's a good word for it.
Because assholes are everywhere, not just at Christmas. Okay, they happen at all times of the year.
All right, generic life situation. Am I the asshole for letting my child ride her pony to school?
What?
I mean, who cannot relate to this? We've all been there.
We've all had children.
We've all been taking our child on their pony to school.
Is this like a real pony? Okay, just read it.
So I'm a 36-year-old lady, and I have a 17-year-old girl child.
It says 7.
7-year-old.
That's a big difference.
The 7-year-old female child asked if she could ride her pony to school last week. For context, we have a small paddock attached to our home where we keep 2 horses, 2 pigs, 7 chickens, and 1 duck.
That's not what it said.
1 for me and 1 for my child. Every morning before school, my child gets all of her pony chores done before we leave.
Is this
and we
real?
normally walk to school. Walking to school takes 20 minutes. We live on the outskirts of a fairly populated city where it's not uncommon to see horses occasionally, but we are by no means a rural village.
So they're not Amish.
We don't know that.
Well, I'm assuming that's what they're trying to say.
Celebrating Rumspringa. I agreed to let my daughter ride her pony to school because I thought it was a harmless, fun thing to do. And also it gives the pony some exercise, as we had evening plans and I wouldn't be riding that evening. We arrived at the school gates and, of course, gathered a little bit of a crowd, which wasn't a problem. Who are you to say? The pony is very good and lapped up all the pats and strokes from the kids.
Okay.
One girl came bounding over from the year above my daughter and started shouting at me saying she wanted to ride. I politely told her that she couldn't because she doesn't have a riding hat. That's the reason? You would let her ride this horse if she had the right hat? And she would have to learn to ride on a safer horse. She immediately started hysterically crying and pleading and throwing up with her mom saying he wanted to ride.
Throwing up. I want to ride that pony.
Her mom looked at me with disgust and said, "See, this is what happens when you have no self-awareness and bring a fucking horse to school." And stormed off, dragging her kid with her. I was a bit taken aback, but I ignored her, sent my child into school, and walked the pony home. It sounds like a euphemism for something.
Why didn't she ride the pony? Are the ponies small? What is a pony?
Are we using pony and horse interchangeably here?
I don't know.
Pony's just a small... Come on, you don't know anything about horses?
Well,
you must have gone...
Is a pony... I know My Little Pony. That's all I know.
Did you go through a horse phase?
Not real horses.
Never
just
in your life?
Toys.
You had a horse?
Like My Little Pony?
You bought toy horses?
Yeah.
You were interested in horses? You went to like a farm where you could touch a horse?
Maybe once.
Yeah. Isn't that a thing? Don't a lot of little girls go through like a horse phase?
I don't know, but
look at me. I know all about.
But okay, but there was a toy called My Little Pony that a lot of millennials might have known or played with.
A pony's just a small horse, right?
Okay, I don't know.
Well,
That's
I'm
what
asking
saying.
you.
I don't know.
You're the authority on ponies.
No, I'm not.
If one of us here knows more about horses, it's got to be you.
No.
I was talking to my friend this weekend, and she said I was in fact the problem, and I was blatantly showing off and should have known that this would cause upset and problems. My response is I turn up to the school gates in jodhpurs and boots regularly, so people probably know I have horses. Is that showing off too? All I wanted to do is let my daughter do something a bit silly and fun. Now I'm really overthinking it and feel nervous to do the school drop off tomorrow.
On the horse?
Am I the asshole for letting my daughter ride a horse to school?
Ride a horse, save a car ride. Maybe that's what she's trying to do. Yeah,
she's just trying to save the environment.
Basically, yeah. She got shamed for trying to save the environment.
I think I have a bigger problem. She just suggested that there are some days she doesn't show up with a horse to school, but she shows up in her riding gear. Well, that is way more obnoxious than showing up with a horse.
Well, because she's then goes to ride the pony, I assume.
Okay, change it later. You're strolling to school wearing your fucking I'm riding a horse outfit?
Your uniform, I guess, is kind of how you could...
Uniform?
Well, like some parents
is she in the horse
show
military?
up in whatever uniform they have for work because they're going to work after. So it's kind of understandable.
I think it's kind of obnoxious to show up I'm wearing my riding boots and my fancy hat.
I mean, just as obnoxious as like a rich, annoying mother who shows up in a fur coat in 1993, you know? Like...
I disagree because
like,
that's just like a fashion thing. This is more of a I'm wearing something for a very specific purpose that has nothing to do with picking up my child from school.
Yeah, but presumably, I mean, I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt, but presumably she just did that because it was more convenient to not have to change.
Let's say my dad's an astronaut. And he
He doesn't need it on Earth, Ben. He doesn't need a spacesuit on Earth.
Let's say he's got the shuttle launch in a few hours. He's going to pick me up from school wearing a fucking spacesuit? That would be obnoxious.
Okay, this is not the same thing, but sure.
It's almost the same thing. Did they ever try to send horses into space?
No, just monkeys.
They sent monkeys into space. What do you think those monkeys were thinking?
Get me out of here.
Send
me up right now. Fuck this shit. There's women riding horses to school.
In space?
No. No, they say get away from Earth.
Oh.
We got spoiled children screaming. But really, okay, the crux of this problem is that the other mother who doesn't have a pony for her child is mad because her 8-year-old was screaming that she can't ride the pony. So that mother just doesn't want to have to deal with her screaming child.
Bullshit, yeah.
So she gets mad at the source of her child screaming rather than her child. Which, like, I understand what you mean.
That is one
but
way.
But everyone is annoying. Including the children. Like, I'm sorry, but the 8-year-old screaming and causing a ruckus there, like, they are also annoying.
But 8-year-olds can't control themselves all that much. But
I know.
For the parent, this is an opportunity to teach them that, like,
horses exist.
You're going to go through life. Some little girls have horses, and you're not one of those little girls.
Some little girl named Ellen of Troy is going to have a horse. She's going to ride it to school, and you're not going to have the same luxury.
I do feel, though, that this mother is being pretty unaware or...
intentionally a bit obtuse.
A little oblivious or intentionally oblivious to, like, you are sort of just showing off for your kid by having them ride a horse to school. What are they, fucking the queen?
But also, like...
everyone bow down to my little girl on the horse?
Yeah, but the way she phrased it is like, oh, I just thought it was fun. And the kid really wanted it, so she obliged because her kid wanted it. But, like, also, I do not care. If I am in this situation at all, I don't care. Let your kid ride a pony. And then also other little girls might be mad.
About it. You need to care.
Okay.
You often just say, I don't care. We're
No.
talking about it.
Well, no, I said everyone's a little bit annoying for thinking this deeply about it and making a scene.
Then why are we talking about it, Christine?
Because
To have a conversation about
I am
it.
having a conversation about it. And my take is that everyone in
think
this
about it.
situation is being a little bit inflammatory about it in their own way. Like, I think that other mother is kind of annoying for blaming it on the other mother. And then I think the 8-year-old who screamed is annoying. And then I think the mother who brought the horse is also kind of annoying. Because, like, you could assume that other 7-year-olds in your child's grade are going to be, like, mad or jealous, and it's going to cause a little bit of a scene. Like, you could guess that might happen. So I think everyone bears a little bit of responsibility for this.
Everyone is wrong.
Yeah.
Can everyone be wrong? I guess so.
Yeah, but not like wrong, like we need to sentence them to anything in specific. Like, this isn't a criminal
Put them all
conviction.
to death.
No, they don't have to go to jail for this. Just
If you're bringing your kid to school on a horse and you're the only one doing that, I think that alone should be give you some pause.
I think you should be aware that people will react to that and have opinions or thoughts because you are the odd one out. Yeah. So you should reasonably expect that, like, I don't know, something's gonna come of it.
Is it that different than like driving your kid to school
In like a really
fancy car?
But
Yeah.
you know exactly what that elicits. If someone drove their kid in a Bentley to school and no one else has a Bentley, what's gonna happen? All the kids are just gonna be like, oh my God, look, your dad's so cool. Or we hate your
Really?
dad because he's rich, whatever it is.
Young people hate rich people.
Yeah, so I imagine
that's
that would
actually-
be very different. Whereas when I was growing up, it was always like, oh my God, look whose dad has a Beamer.
Yeah, that changed.
Right? Now they're like, oh, your dad's probably like a greedy
So they might
capitalist.
prefer someone rolling up on, oh, your dad dropped you off to school in like an apple cart.
What is an apple cart?
I actually don't know. Isn't it just like a cart, like a it's like a cart you pull. There's no motor.
I don't know. But
Wait, maybe showing up to school on a horse is the new cool
maybe
because it's like a
is.
rejection of capitalism and modernity.
Yeah, it's like a return to tradition.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
she's on to something.
When little girls couldn't even go to school.
Oh my God.
All right, next one. Am
Good
I the
night,
asshole for eating at the children I
Eating the
babysit
what?
for's house?
Oh.
Am I the asshole for eating children? No. Am I the asshole for eating at the children I babysit
It's
for's
for's
house?
house.
I'm a 20-year-old lady, and I babysit for some extra cash on the side. This just happened, and it's eating me up, so here we go. The family ordered pizza for dinner. Mom left cash on the table for me to pay. It was me and 2 boys, aged 7 and 10. Large cheese pizza and breadsticks. I've always been under the impression that the babysitter is allowed to have a reasonable amount of dinner if they're expected to serve dinner. I've babysat a few times in the past and never encountered this. When the parents came home to relieve me, they asked how tonight went. I said fine and said the pizza place was really good, as I'd never ordered from there before. Mom looked at me puzzled and asked why I ate the kids' dinner. I said I just had 2 pieces of pizza and a breadstick. I feel as if this was not an inappropriate amount to eat. However, the parents disagreed, and the dad said that they didn't expect to have to feed me dinner as well and told me not to eat their family's food.
Oh, you're fired.
Overall, I am very uncomfortable and confused by this experience. Both boys were fed and did not complain about being hungry for the rest of the night. I personally have always assumed, perhaps wrongly, that if I am expected to serve dinner as a sitter, that I am welcome to have a serving. Is this something anyone else has experienced?
I think we need to check the terms of the babysitting agreement.
Are there babysitting contracts? This is a world. This is a black box to me. How does it?
I mean, there probably isn't terms of the agreement. So
there's never a
yeah.
babysitting contract,
I
right?
mean, I don't know about never, but it's probably uncommon because it's a casual type of job where, you know, they just throw cash at you. There's no tax holdbacks or like there's nothing real.
Well,
attached to this, yeah.
There's no income tax on babysitting.
Well, you're, I guess, technically supposed to declare your income, but that's on you.
It'd be funny
not
if
the
the
employer.
IRS just went
Like,
after a
babysitters.
bunch of babysitters.
You accepted $30 cash last weekend.
But
Yeah.
okay, the reasonable expectation is that if you're babysitting over the dinner hour, you would get a serving of dinner, right?
So I've babysat many times growing up. I even did a babysitter's course once. Like I don't even remember what it was. It's kind of stupid.
What did
But,
they
like,
teach you?
I don't remember.
How to sit on babies?
No, I think some of it was related to CPR. And it was just to get like a certificate of babysitter completion. It didn't have like any real medical value.
It's to make sure like you wouldn't kill a baby by accident.
I suppose, and maybe it served some value to show parents. I don't know. I just thought it was the prudent thing to do because at the time that was the only job I could have.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't get a real job until you were 15, and even then you had to have a parent co-sign, which is what I ultimately ended up doing. But when I was 13 and 14, I was a babysitter for like people down the road's kids, and I would maybe like once a week do it. And yeah, if I made them dinner, which was like craft dinner, it was never anything fancy, or ordered pizza, I always had it. It was never really questioned. But maybe that's because the families that I was babysitting for like were very nice and reasonable and accommodating. So of course they'd be like, yeah, like have some craft dinner. It'd be kind of insane if I was presented with a situation back then where they were like, wait, you ate some of the craft dinner? We didn't pay for that. I would probably be like, oh, I didn't realize. But it's also not something that they necessarily told me before, right? And in this situation, they didn't say like, don't eat the food in our house. The food is only for the children. So the babysitter just assumed like if I'm making dinner or arranging dinner, presumably I'm here for 6 hours or whatever. Like, what else do they expect me to do?
Yeah, but I've worked some jobs before, and I never expected to be fed by my employer. You bring a lunch to work.
Okay, you're not wrong. When you compare this to a more traditional job, like say you work for the drugstore, they don't expect that you're just going to walk down the grocery aisle and like take free food. Like you'd have to pay for it, right?
They don't.
No, like, no, that would be stealing.
Yeah,
you can't do that, right? So like, I get it. But I guess the babysitting situation is just inherently more casual, and it's usually people that you like kind of know. So you expect that because of that, they're a little more like, yeah, sure, you can eat.
Yeah, just
now, this situation might be different if, let's say, the parents pre-made food and there was 2 plates sealed up for each of the children and there was no other food for, for whatever reason. Maybe they just don't have other food. And so they ration their food. And if then the babysitter was taking from the plates allocated to the children, then I might understand that. And that would be different. But if we're not talking about that and it's like, yeah, here's some money for a pizza, like casually, and it's like, there's definitely enough for the kids and then some, to then tell the person staying in your house, oh, you got to figure out your own food. And she didn't know that before she came.
But shouldn't that just be established before?
Yes. Yeah.
Because like if you're a parent and you order food, you're like, oh, I ordered food for the kids. And you think that was only enough food for the kids and the babysitter ate the food. Then I actually do think you have some grounds to be upset.
But it sounds like it was more than enough. It was like a whole pizza and breadsticks for everyone. So, I don't know.
Maybe.
That sounds like enough for a 7 to 10-year-old, and then she just had 2 slices, the babysitter.
Maybe the babysitter's lying, though, and she ate all the food.
She ate the whole pizza.
And the kids were like, oh, we're hungry. We're hungry. And she's like, shut up.
Food.
I'm eating those breadsticks.
You're not like, I kind of get it. And if you look at this just through the lens of the traditional job, like you can't do that. You can't just take something that wasn't established in your agreement. But it is kind of strange for the parents to react so negatively. Like,
well, you just don't babysit for these people.
Yeah,
anymore.
I think that's the conclusion.
Yeah, and you take a slice of pizza on the way out if there were leftovers. Wait, were there leftovers? Because then it's just out the window.
Why?
Well, because like the only way I could sympathize with the parents is like the children were hungry because the babysitter ate some of their food. Mm-hmm. But if they didn't even eat enough that like there was leftover pizza, that's game changer. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, next one. Am I the asshole for not telling my wife that my sister died? Nothing.
What?
My 35-year-old... I'm a 35-year-old guy, and my sister died 3 weeks ago. My wife had only met her once. She lived quite far away, and every time I went to see her, my wife didn't come. My dad told me that she died and told me when her funeral was. I traveled down for the funeral and told my wife I was going to see my sister, which wasn't really a lie.
Shut up.
A few days after I got back home, my brother called my wife and told her to check up on me since I hadn't been answering his calls and texts. I guess she just asked why he was so worried, and my brother told her about my sister dying. My wife got really upset at me for not telling her. And she said that I can't trust her and that I should talk to her instead of bottling up my feelings. I explained that I didn't tell her because I knew she'd worry and expect me to talk about how I feel. It's very sweet of her worrying about me, but she doesn't need to. It's like she doesn't understand that I don't talk about how I feel, unlike her. She's barely...
Why are you laughing? It's so mean.
Yeah, it's like...
Hello, Ben? Are you there?
He's saying she's the weird one.
Okay, read it. She's barely spoken to me since. She said that she feels betrayed. I didn't mean to upset her so much. I just didn't want to deal with her constant worrying. Am I the asshole?
That's so crazy.
This is unusual. It's unusual.
I don't need to talk about it. That is wild.
Okay, what's not written here is maybe the poster, anytime there's anything like kind of wrong, the wife is like kind of on top, like smothering.
Like, talk to me like, about your feelings.
And maybe posters like doesn't like that and doesn't like to cope like that, or doesn't have that style. So maybe now that this is a very extreme situation where like your immediate family died, but even then posters like, no, I don't want to introduce a scenario to her where she's like, will smother me forever.
Just like, I guess like everyone can grieve in their own way, but man, to not tell your significant other an immediate family member died, like not just to not say it, like to withhold it. You're lying.
Yeah, I'm going to see my sis
when you're going to a funeral.
in the coffin.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, I mean, no,
right?
Sorry. I mean, that is very weird and unusual. But this idea at the end that like she's barely spoken to me and feels betrayed. I don't know how we jump to that, because I think if you're the wife, like you should just be concerned from a caring and compassionate place that this tragedy happened to your partner. And if your partner doesn't want to talk about it, then maybe they're not ready or they don't want to. But to do what, I mean, we only have this POV, but to do what the poster is saying the wife did and turn it on him and saying, you betrayed me, kind of feels like this is not really the time or the place to be like, now I'm mad at you because you didn't want to talk about something that was bad and sad that happened to him.
That's interesting. You always look at these from a much more empathetic lens than I do, because I kind of feel like the wife is very justified in being like,
just saying you betrayed me, now I'm not going to talk to you. Like, but you have to question why.
It's a huge red. Betrayal is a strange way of putting it, but to be concerned that your partner would not tell that to you, or fuck, I'd be more concerned just that I was with someone who doesn't seem to have any sort of emotional response to this at all. You know what I mean? Like,
but I don't think it's necessarily an emotional response. I think the unwritten thing here is that he didn't want to deal with her doing the most, and like the way he wrote about that I should talk about I just talk to her instead of bottling up my feelings. Maybe he feels like that's imposed onto him frequently by her.
I agree. The subtext here seems to be that this is a recurring thing.
That she's always wants to discuss.
It's implied that he's always bottling up his feelings, and she wants him to express his feelings. Maybe he doesn't feel that way.
Maybe he doesn't feel like he's bottling up.
Yeah, but doesn't this seem like a huge example of her being correct?
Well, I don't know.
You don't know?
I mean, who's to say? Maybe he doesn't want to discuss his sister's death with her because of how she's dealt with past things he shared.
Maybe. That is a very charitable way of looking at this.
That's what I see in this. But it could also just be way simpler, but.
Okay. So many people are just like emotionally broken, I think.
Yeah.
It's kind of a sad
Humanity will
post.
do that to you.
It will?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And interesting that most people...
Inevitably?
Yeah, we have no choice. But most people said that the poster's an asshole.
Yeah.
Which, like...
That is the, I think, normal human reaction to this.
I guess I don't see it that way. I don't feel like it would be totally justified for us to, just based on the information we have, be like, you're an absolute asshole. I think there's probably some other interpersonal issues between him and the wife, probably relating to past correspondences or treatment by her, or just the nature of their relationship, or his way of dealing with his grief and emotions, that I don't think you can just blanket be like, you're an asshole.
I can't think of a reasonable explanation for why it is fair or justifiable to withhold this information from your significant other.
I think it's very unusual and rare, and will ultimately result in some kind of consequence when she eventually finds out. Like, this isn't smart. Like, he's not very smart for, like, thinking, like, I'm just never going to tell her my sister. Like, that's dumb. Like, you know, she's going to find out at some point, but whether it's from you or someone else, which is how it happened. So that's kind of lacking, but...
Therapy is the answer.
I don't know. Maybe for the wife, too, and for him. But, yeah, it's sad. Like, he lost his sister. Like, that's sad, but he may not want to deal with it in the way that his wife wants him to.
Yes.
Which is fair.
Sounds like he doesn't want to deal with it at all.
Well, I don't know. You know, some people deal with things by not wanting to, like, rehash and talk through it all the time. It depends. And some people just need time. Like, anyways.
You're better than me.
This isn't a competition. I'm just offering a different interpretation. And we're not always jumping to calling someone an asshole.
Okay, next one. Am I the asshole for telling my boyfriend I own the building we live in? Hi, obviously a throwaway for privacy. But when I was 18, my dad gifted me a house. Must be nice. A house with 2 stories. I'm extremely thankful. We are not upper class, but my dad bought this house for a cheap price a long time ago. It was his grandmother's cousin's house. I know that this was an extreme privilege, and I'm forever grateful. The layout of this building is like an apartment, but it is a house. So basically each story has its own separate entry, its own kitchen, bathroom. I live upstairs while I rent out the downstairs. My boyfriend moved in with me about 3 months ago, and we've been together for 6 months. I have not asked him for money, neither for utilities or to pay me any rent. The only thing he contributes is groceries that we split 50-50. I have not brought up that I own the building, as it is not something I tell many people. If people ask me, I of course tell them that I own it, but if they just assume I am a renter, then they can believe that. The topic of a landlord, the renter downstairs, or the owner of the building has not been something we have talked about. This last Tuesday, the renter came up to tell me that his freezer has stopped working. I answered the door and my boyfriend heard us talking, I suppose. I went downstairs to take a look and we came to the conclusion that she should buy a new one, send me the receipt, and I would give her money, and she was very grateful for this solution. When I went back upstairs, my boyfriend asked if it could be fixed, and I told him no, but that she was going to buy a new one and I would pay for it. He looked at me like I was crazy
like, why would you
and asked me why the hell I would pay for her freezer. And I told him that because I am her landlord and the freezer was there when she started renting, I would stand for the cost. He just asked me if I was serious, to which I said I was. He began screaming at me, asking him why the hell I would hold this information from him and that I was an evil person. I said I was sorry for not telling him, but I did not think it would matter. He said he could not believe he was together with someone who is a landlord, that all of us just use people for money, and that the only thing we care about is money and would rather have some people be homeless than offering affordable rent. She goes on to justify why her rent is reasonable. Was I really the asshole for not telling him? He has not talked to me since Tuesday, and I've tried telling him that I'm truly sorry, but he doesn't answer me at all.
Whoa.
Red flag boyfriend, right?
What did he... Okay, before he was aware she was a spooky landlord.
He's just spooky, awful, evil landlord.
Before he was aware, he was just fine not paying for presumable
that is the biggest
mortgage
red flag
or rent or whatever it was.
He's been living there for months,
other than groceries,
right?
But like he was just free riding her and like not saying anything.
It's strange to have that has
interesting.
Never. She's saying she would have volunteered this information if he had ever asked. He's just been living there for free with
Right.
No curiosity about who's paying for his housing.
Yeah, and no offer, I guess.
So he's the asshole.
Yeah,
right?
obviously.
Obviously.
And for being so mad at her. Like, on the one hand, just like the last scenario, I understand why you should just generally be transparent about things, in order to prevent situations like this where it's like, wait, what? Why didn't you tell me? But also just the anger he has against her and the way he's painting her with that broad brush of like, you people.
It's not really about like the dishonesty. Like I could kind of get it if he felt like this was a weird withholding of information, kind of similar to the last one. Maybe there's something to like.
But okay, the fact that he's so passionate about being anti-landlord, including someone like her who isn't like the traditional corporate overlord landlord that you think of who owns 30 apartment buildings. Like, that's not what we're talking about, right? But technically, yes, she is a landlord to the person downstairs or whatever. But the fact that he has such an obvious hate for them makes me think that she's leaving out, potentially, that she was aware that he was anti-landlord. And so she just was like, maybe I just won't mention this,
It's interesting. Are there certain jobs or certain things about someone that would like disqualify you from wanting to date them? And is there some reasonable expectation that you don't withhold that from people? It never would have occurred to me that being a landlord is something you would find so objectionable that you wouldn't want to date someone who is that.
I mean, just with that one definition, no. I mean, I could kind of understand if someone got to know someone and then like what they did was had like just a bunch of townhomes or apartment buildings and like that was their primary job. But like, I don't get the sense from this girl's story that that's what she
not
does.
Even that. Like if you learn someone's a landlord and by that you mean like they like are basically extorting money from people, raising the rent illegally. Like you know what I mean? Like there are things people associate with landlords that I could believe are genuinely bad. Mm-hmm. Also, people are mad at like, aren't you just mad at? Isn't there? What's the expression? Don't hate people, hate like the systems that allow them to do this.
Yeah, but the people allow the system to perpetuate
like
itself by playing
it's
a role.
easy to just shake your fist at some mom and pop who own a couple townhomes. Mm-hmm. There are like systemic fixes for why people can't afford housing.
Like, yeah, I know. It's not just this girl's responsibility to fix that.
18-year-old who had a house just fall in her lap.
I don't think she's still 18, but it said she was 18 when her father gifted her the house that's many decades old because it was their grandmother's.
She owns a duplex and is renting out a unit. Right. She is not the reason why you can't afford a house.
Yeah, but it's like, what should she do? Sell it to someone else who isn't a landlord? Yeah, maybe she should just not date him. Yeah. Yeah. I do think like
You know what she should do?
What?
She started a business. She gets more boyfriends and they actually pay rent.
Oh, now that's an opportunity.
I don't know if that's the best idea, but she could start her own business today with Shopify. It's the best easy to use all-in-one commerce platform that lets people start, grow, and manage their own business. Mm-hmm. We've used Shopify since we launched Cristine's nail polish brand Holo Taco in 2019, and Shopify's user-friendly interface makes it really easy for us to power our business. From the basic things like updating the website with new listings, pictures, and descriptions, to tracking customer orders and seeing where in the world you're shopping from. Regardless of technical abilities, it's easy to use and has intuitive analytics and tools. It's super useful to get real-time analytics on sales so we can see how people are responding to new releases or sales and to monitor stock in real time. This past Black Friday, Cyber Monday period was the best in our brand's history, and Shopify helped us make the decisions that made that possible. Understanding trends in sales, new customer acquisition, how we handled our site-wide discount strategy. All of this was informed by Shopify and the tools and data it provides. Mm-hmm. So you can join Holo Taco and millions of other merchants and grow your own business with Shopify and use the link shopify.com/simplynailogical to start your free trial today.
Woo!
Thank you, Shopify.
Thank you, Shopify.
You know what's on my Shopify Wrapped?
What?
Holo Taco, Holo Taco, Holo Taco, Holo Taco, money, Holo Taco.
Well, I don't put it that way, but we did release our new hoodie on Black Friday. So that was also really good to look at the data on that. So that was fun. Yeah, that's what I'm wearing. Anyone who's like, what is this wonderful gradient? It's mine.
That's what I was thinking.
What do you mean?
I was wondering what that wonderful gradient is.
I know. That's why I commented on it. Okay.
Am I the asshole for refusing to make lasagna for Christmas? After what my mother-in-law did last year.
Oh, family drama.
I know what you did last Christmas. We haven't had a crazy family story in a while.
Let's get ready.
I'm 30. I've been with my husband, Michael, for 7 years. Married for 3, dating for 4.
What's the difference? I don't know why that matters. Does that matter to this story? Like, just say 7 years.
My mother-in-law is 58 years old and has always hosted Christmas ever since I've known him, my husband. I've always made lasagna for Christmas and other special occasions. Oh, they're the asshole.
What's supposed to be for Christmas?
Who's making lasagna for Christmas?
Italians? I don't know. I don't know. Sounds good.
Okay, I'm being flippant. Okay, I'm essentially the family lasagna maker. And honestly, I don't really mind. I love to cook and bake. However, last year, my mother-in-law decided to make lasagna based off what she saw me doing when she was at my house, and a recipe she got off the internet. I was surprised that she prepared a pan of her own, but didn't say anything, and even got a small piece. It did not taste good, and it was barely touched, whilst mine had almost half gone near the end of dinner.
Uh-oh.
This infuriated my mother-in-law.
Oh, no. Lasagna wars.
She wound up doing a rant about how everyone loves me more than her and tried to throw my lasagna in the trash. I say tried because it mainly ended up on the floor.
She can't even score a shot? Boo. Boo, mother-in-law.
She can't score a shot of a basket? What sports analogy were you trying to do there?
Get a goal in the hoop? I don't know.
Christine,
Boo.
Can you name an athlete?
Travis Kelce.
Wait, what's his name?
Travis Kelce? Kelsey? No.
Yeah,
Kelce.
he threw it in the basket.
Michael Jordan.
Michael and I quickly left after that, and my mother-in-law has not apologized for it since. Yesterday, she called me to confirm that I was making what I was making for Christmas this year.
Ew, just don't answer her calls. Like,
And on her list of things I should make was lasagna.
Wait, why?
She's a lasagna maker.
Yeah, but why would the mother-in-law say she should make it?
It feels like some time has passed.
Okay, got it.
I politely said I wasn't going to make lasagna due to last year's incident.
Only a year.
And I'd be happy to make anything else. My mother-in-law wasn't as polite and called me vindictive for refusing to make the lasagna over a small mistake. Me throwing your lasagna on the floor.
But it
just
doesn't matter
mistake.
what she makes, like lasagna or not. I'd still be scared of the mother-in-law. Like, what?
I refused again, and it made my mother-in-law angrier, so she told me that unless I show up with lasagna in hand, she wouldn't let me be at Christmas. My husband says it's easier to just make the lasagna to keep the peace.
Husband.
Men.
No, men.
And I shouldn't hold my mother-in-law's mistake that she made out of anger
Just
against her.
Appease the elderly woman.
Word got to my sister-in-law and brother-in-law from my mother-in-law, and they're saying I should also make it, even if it's just half of what I usually make.
I reject.
What is that?
I reject all of this hypothesis. No.
What is it? Making half the lasagna? It makes it half okay? Like,
I just,
what the hell is that?
This
suggestion?
idea that even the other people in the family are like, oh, just do it to please the matriarch or the patriarch. It doesn't really matter, but it's usually like the elder that they've been dealing with, that they've been conditioned into appeasing because they've been raised that way. And then you try and impose that on the secondary person, like the wife who just entered the family or whatever it is.
This is an awkward
shit.
thing. It's an awkward thing to navigate for if you marry into a family or you're dating someone.
Yeah, but you marry the person, not their family.
You do.
Or that's my perspective.
There is, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this difficulty of those people have grown up and maybe accepted that they tolerate or deal with a narcissistic parent
trauma
in a certain way. And they've just learned that that's how they deal with it. But yeah, if you're someone from outside coming into that, you have a fresh set of eyes on what is clearly a toxic sort of relationship, right?
Yeah.
This feels super common. Every time we read a story about like unreasonable mother-in-law, father-in-law stuff. It's usually mother-in-laws for some reason.
And usually the person in the middle, like the person who's related to the unreasonable, maybe in this case it's the husband, is always trying to, just do what she says so everyone can be happy. No, you're asking to just do what she says so she can be happy, not me.
Well, and you've decided that it's not worth, even if you know what is right, you're just like, it's not worth getting into an argument about it or whatever.
I mean, I still think it's a prioritization of the mother in this situation.
Yeah, it's one thing to make that decision for yourself. Mm-hmm. It's you can't make that decision for your partner, or it reflects on you if you're trying to force your partner to also. And
maybe they're not like forcing them, but if even by suggesting just do it, it'll be easier. Like that. Okay, well now you're kind of guilting them. So
it's a big red flag, right? Like you'd want your partner to support you when you're obviously in the right, even if your family member or parents being unreasonable. Now some people will say, "Who cares? It's just lasagna. Just make it so no one has to disagree."
But it's it's not just lasagna. Okay, mother acted insanely.
Some things are bigger than lasagna.
Yeah, but like I do not like mother's behavior, and if you go back to the last slide, what exactly? I'm trying to just remind myself that like she was so mad that her lasagna was preferred over, the poster's lasagna was preferred over the mother's, that she threw it around like a bad mother.
She threw it like Travis.
Are you a child?
She threw it like Patrick Mahomes throwing a Travis Kelce.
Are you okay? Is that far?
Yeah.
Okay. But she threw it on the floor, so it didn't score. It was not a goal.
You shouldn't make lasagna for Christmas, though. Can we all agree on that?
Maybe they should just get takeout.
It's part of the problem.
And then you can just get mad at whoever made it, and it's not someone in the household. There you go.
What do you want for Christmas dinner?
I don't care.
Because we don't need, like, turkey's kind of whatever, right? If you could have
whatever's available.
If you could, that's so uninteresting an answer.
What?
You could have anything for Christmas dinner. What do you want?
What's easiest to pick up? Oh God. I want convenience.
What you're hosting a big dinner party.
I am? I don't know. What do I want made for me?
You're having over only people you like, and you want them to eat food you enjoy.
And it just shows up. I don't have to make it.
Yeah, you don't have to do anything.
I would like a variety. I think like a buffet style.
I thought you were going to say lasagna just to fun.
No, I mean, like, maybe there's some lasagna for people who like it. But I think maybe some, like, turkey, but also, like, white meat and dark meat. Because, like, some people don't like one or the other. And then maybe ham for people who like ham. Because sometimes that's made at Christmas. Like, I don't. Stuffing, I think people like. But then also some food that isn't so traditionally Christmas or Thanksgiving-y. So maybe some pasta, not just lasagna, maybe some gnocchi. Some salad, some grains would be nice. Maybe we'll get some sushi.
Such a strange answer.
Just like a little bit of everything.
Like Chinese food.
I just feel like I don't really care about it being such a specific set
of
foods.
Okay, let's keep talking about it if you don't care.
No, but I would prefer to have more options so that more people can enjoy it.
Oh, that's nice of you.
And then no one can argue. Right? No one will argue.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Am I the asshole for refusing to delete a video taken in public?
Uh-oh.
This weekend, my girlfriend and I were walking at the local reservoir.
What's that?
It's Reservoir Dogs. It's where...
That's what I thought. Is that a movie?
No, it's a place you take dogs. It's where they get like groomed and stuff. You clip...
Down by the reservoir of water? Is it like a bowl? Like a tank? A tank of water.
A reservoir is, it's water that's being reserved.
But what does it mean to say you were walking by a local reservoir? Like, I've actually never heard it in that context. Like a reserve of water under the ground? Or like, is it in a water bottle? Did you say, are you walking by a water bottle?
Me and my girlfriend were just walking by the bottle of Fiji water that's in that park over there. And when we were down by the water, there's a body of water.
Okay.
We see a lady going past, and hundreds of ducks are following her. I am not exaggerating, Christine.
Okay.
I'd say there were at least 200 to 300 birds, if not more.
Birds or ducks?
Ducks
Spot
are
the contradiction.
birds. They were quacking and splashing and climbing all over each other, screaming, crying, throwing up, trying to get closer.
Lasagna.
They threw it on the floor. They were trying to get closer to the food that she was tossing.
There's a bird lady.
This lady is just queen of the ducks.
Queen of the birds.
What, spot the contradiction?
Weren't
you just trying to tell me ducks aren't birds?
I don't know. You want to debate that? Okay.
It was a hell of a scene, so I started recording it. Because frankly, I'd never seen anything quite like it before. I'd say the path where we were was about 30 or 40 feet back from the water, so it was from a pretty respectable distance. I was not getting up in her face or anything. Just for a good minute or two, I'm just filming all these ducks. The lady looks up and sees me and says, "Are you recording?" And I say, "Yeah, I'm recording. There are like 300 ducks back there." So she yells at me, "I don't want to be in the picture. Delete that video. I didn't give you permission." I tell her, "No, I'm not deleting it. We're out in public. I don't need permission to take pictures of things. I'm not even taking a video of you. You just happen to be walking past." She says, "Well, then how about if I take a picture of you?" And pulls out her phone. I said, "I don't care. Go ahead. What are you going to do? Frame it?" She's just standing there taking pictures of us until finally we all walk away pissed off.
Amazing.
So am I the asshole? I guess this lady thought I was being rude, but I didn't see anything wrong with what I was doing, especially since it wasn't even her really I was taking the video of. That's a little dishonest. You took a video of her. She's in your video, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just because she wasn't your perceived main point of focus doesn't mean she wasn't in the video.
Don't you think if you're leading a parade of 300 ducks through a public park,
it's performative.
I think you're forgoing your right for people to notice you,
maybe
observe
she
you.
was making her own TikTok video or YouTube, and she didn't want other people to record it because she's like, "This is my content, bitch. I reserve the only right to monetize."
That's very content-brained of you to think that.
Maybe.
She sounds like she hates technology. I wouldn't guess that she's just recording it for herself.
Yeah.
I think in an extreme circumstance like this, I think it's harder for you to reject or think it's unreasonable that other people would film something such a spectacle happening.
I think there's a clear answer to this one, but then there's also something that you should just know and follow through to get to the answer. So the first thing is when you are in public in most places, there isn't a reasonable expectation of privacy in terms of being filmed. That's why, like, if you take your camera into a Walmart or a store, like, sometimes they'll be like, "Oh, you're not allowed to film in here," because it's their private property and business, they can tell you that. But if you're on public property and it's a park, that just doesn't happen. And regular civilians, there's nothing in the law in most cases that gives them like an authoritative right to be like, I'm confiscating your phone. That doesn't happen.
You see this happening quite often.
Property.
Someone will say, "I didn't give you your permission to film me."
But it's like,
technically,
you can't really point to anything that's like, well, now I get to confiscate your phone or kick you off of this public location because you can't.
Just because it isn't illegal, though, doesn't mean it doesn't make you a douchebag to be recording people in public.
I know, and
right?
I do think there needs to be a bit of an evolution of laws, but I understand how complicated and difficult it is because I just, regardless of the law, I don't think it's appropriate to be recording people's faces very clearly, specifically if we're talking about like this situation, especially where it's not a crowd. I think there's a little bit of an appreciable difference where, like, if you're at a football game and you're filming the crowd. Now, I'm not saying you may not be able to see individual faces, but with this example, there's one person
and 300
so
ducks.
Anyone who watches that piece of content that you publish is more targeted, like their eyes go to the only sole individual in there.
Whoa.
Now,
if you saw a clip of a lady and 300 ducks, you're looking at the lady?
I think people would be like, "Who is this lady with magic duck powers?"
Oh,
you know?
Good point. Yeah.
Like, yeah, she's the only
duck
person.
lady.
Now, I don't mean I'm not trying to set myself up for like, well, the rule is if there's one person, then you can't film. But I just think like it's a bit of a spectrum here of like what you consider to be reasonable, and would that person be discoverable, and is it an invasion of their privacy if so?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're in a giant stadium and there's thousands of people and you're at a Taylor Swift concert and like all the faces are blending together, maybe it's a little bit different. Also, the decorum in that space is such that people are filming. Like, people do that at a concert. Whereas maybe this public park, like, it's not normal for everyone to be filming all the time, like at a Taylor Swift concert.
Yeah, my general feeling is to want to say, even if it's not illegal, you should respect people's wishes to not be filmed by you. The only thing that makes this one at all gray to me is just, if you're doing something performative or such a spectacle, can you reasonably expect them to respect that wish? Right?
Yeah.
If I'm just walking down the street and someone's filming me and like, hey, like, I don't want to be filmed.
Well, that's just harassment.
A reasonable thing to do is like, don't just film people in the street, like, for no reason. You're a weirdo.
Yes.
But yeah, in this scenario, I'm leading a parade of ducks through town. What, am I going to yell at people for taking a photo of that?
But that's why the poster started recording, because he was like, this seems like a spectacle, so I'm going to record it. But then the lady clearly stated that this was not intended to be a spectacle. Like,
she created the spectacle.
Well, no,
she's feeding the ducks.
She was feeding ducks.
She's creating a parade of ducks.
I do not want you to spectate.
This is just for me.
Yeah.
Only I can enjoy the ducks.
I mean, like, I don't know.
Was she own these ducks?
No, but he was filming her in the ducks. Maybe he could censor her face, you know? Well, let's try and find a solution here, okay?
Okay.
So there's censoring technologies.
If he uploaded it to YouTube and it showed her face,
she could absolutely file a privacy claim.
Yeah.
If her face is showing.
But if he obscures her identity or face,
then he's allowed to post the content.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty reasonable...
We could call it the Susan test. Yeah.
What is the Susan test?
The Susan test is, if you uploaded this content to YouTube, would YouTube give you a means to get it removed? Or would YouTube say that it's wrong? Because I think that's an interesting threshold. And yes, YouTube would allow the woman to submit a claim. I suspect that they would agree. If you can identify her face and you wish it to be removed, then it's now becomes blocked by YouTube until the poster rectifies it, and they could do so with editing tools in the back end, either by blurring or by trimming it out. Or they have to just remove the video entirely. One or the other.
I'd like to see it on YouTube. I'd like to see Sniper Wolf reacting to it in a video.
Here's another question. Even if her face was blurred.
Who, Sniper Wolf?
No. The lady with
Duck
the ducks.
Lady, okay.
Do you think Duck Lady would still be okay with her
she doesn't sound like
performance, even if her face, like her identity is
as obscured. Soon as you told me this is a lady that goes and parades around town with hundreds of ducks behind her, she's not okay about anything.
But like, we don't know. What is she just feeding ducks and 300 showed up and she was like, okay, I don't know.
Well, you think that just happened by accident?
Yeah.
She knows what she's doing.
Have you ever seen Canadian geese? Like, they fly in flocks.
Are those birds or geese?
Geese. Meese.
Oh my. All right, last one. Would I be the asshole if I sang to my baby in public? First plane ride from my 6-month-old. It's right around the corner. My goal is to be very attentive to him to keep him as quiet and happy as possible. One of the most effective soothers for him is me singing. I'm a huge believer in not doing anything to disturb the innocent people around me. Like, people who loudly play music in public are the worst. So my instinct is to not sing. However, what's worse, screaming baby on a plane or hearing a stranger quietly sing Irish ballads to a baby? Wild mountain time, Cristine. Biased phrasing, I realize. But I realize I really don't know which is the greater violation to fellow travelers. I think people have the wrong idea that, like, we hate babies and think babies shouldn't be on planes, because one time we sort of joked about that. I just want to say, if you have a baby and you got to fly somewhere, I get that. And I think most people who are annoyed at babies on planes are annoyed, but also don't think you shouldn't be allowed to fly with a baby. I think
there's a difference. Right? Like, you can have the freedom to think, like, in your head, this is annoying, but not go up to a mother on a plane and tell her that the child is annoying. Like, there's a huge difference, and those are two very different types of people.
I think with this person, I think they're being incredibly considerate, I guess. Like, I think their heart's in the right place. But what I would think is, we all sort of know as people who travel sometimes that occasionally if there's a kid on there, they're going to be annoying, or a baby might cry on a plane. The singing on the plane thing to me is
kind of odd, right?
Would people even know you're doing that to prevent crying? Because I think there is a debate as I'd rather hear someone quietly singing Irish folk tunes than a baby screaming, right? But if I just get on a plane and I hear someone singing, I'm not.
You're going to pay more attention to it.
Or how do I know they're doing it to prevent that screaming? I don't know if that screaming would ever happen. Instead, I'm just like, who is this asshole singing on a plane?
Because it's so different than what you expect, I think you'll unintentionally pay more attention to it. You'll be like, what the fuck? Why is someone singing? Yeah. Whereas if you hear a baby like crying, it's like, yep.
You get it. It's annoying, but you get it.
Yeah.
There was a thing that went viral recently. This it's like gospel singer on a plane. She's sitting on the plane. She goes, hey, everyone, there's a delay. There's some mechanical. They're just waiting on the tarmac to take off.
Did she have a baby she was trying to calm?
There's no baby.
No baby.
Just a lady.
Just a lady.
And she goes, hey, everyone, just want to let you know I just got nominated for a Grammy.
She stood up and told the plane that?
She's just sitting there, but she's talking to everyone.
Okay.
And they're like, oh, they're just a bunch of people.
Sure. That's nice.
She goes, and she just starts singing for them. She starts singing, glory
maybe
be
someone
to...
asked her,
no,
what do you sing?
She clearly just wanted to.
Okay.
And so the flight attendant comes over and goes I'm going to need you to be quiet.
Shut up.
And she starts appealing to the other passengers. She goes, well, I want to know what they think. Do they want me to keep singing? And he goes I don't want you to keep singing. And he's like, I need to know, as your flight leader... I like their
flight leader
when they get serious. As your flight leader, I need to know if you can follow my instructions. So can you be quiet for the rest of the flight? And again, she wants to do the people want me to be quiet? Am I gonna be arrested?
This isn't a democracy.
And it's
plane.
No, you just gotta shut up. So I think he walks away and she starts singing again. I actually don't know the outcome of this, but yeah.
Why was she? What was her justification for singing? Just because she said she wanted a Grammy? But
this was clearly super narcissistic. I guess in some universe you could think she wants to just spread her talent with the world, and maybe that's all she is thinking. But yeah, to subject people, what are people going to say? No, shut up. We don't want you to sing. Most people are too polite to do that,
Most people would just be like, yeah, sure. Or just say nothing, right? Yeah.
She didn't have a bad voice or anything, but I choose to listen to music. I don't want to be someone just singing at me. I'm trapped on a plane.
Yeah, exactly. You are trapped on a plane, and it was a delay, right? They were on the tarmac or something.
Yeah.
So people can't leave or turn their ears off, really. So it's not really your choice to be listening there.
Even if I liked it, I just don't think it's a reasonable thing to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would think that's really annoying. And it's a good question to kind of measure how unreasonable this is if everyone on the plane started doing the same thing, but not the same thing, just the equivalent of what they think is their talent that they want to share with the world. Because not everyone sees talents the same or appreciates the same things. If one guy started drumming and one guy started doing karate and someone else started memeing, I don't know. If everyone started doing something to show off their talent, would everyone be okay with that? No, that'd be fucking chaos and annoying as fuck. So you, one person saying, well, I want to share my talents, you are annoying.
I would say, I think there is a sort of baseline in society of people who don't think like this at all, who are just I'm going to sing on a plane.
Because the world's about them.
Okay,
yeah.
So there's a certain proportion of the population who I think goes through life like this.
Yeah, narcissists.
And I think society is held together by the rest of us.
The rest of
us. When that number of people fluctuates, things can really spiral out of control quickly.
It's dangerous.
And I feel especially with air travel the last few years, we're seeing an increase in the proportion of the people who have no self-awareness
this is a concern.
At all.
This is an epidemic of narcissism.
And air travel is just one small microcosm of this broader problem of people increasingly being like, I have no respect or empathy for how other people are feeling about a situation. I'm just going to do whatever the fuck I want.
Society does not function if everyone gets what they want or if everyone is selfish. You have to bring yourself down to the baseline to make it the most reasonable experience for most people. And that singer is not doing that.
It's all her fault.
No. Okay. Also, singing is not the most harmful thing. I acknowledge that too. I just think the logic of like, well, I want to be able to sing and share, and I don't care that the flight attendant says stop, because what do the people want? And of course the people aren't going to say they hate me, because most people are polite. Like, you know what you're doing, girl.
I think I know the answer.
What?
We need the polite people
to rise up.
To fight back.
The rebellion.
We need
the rebellion of the polite, reasonable people.
Yeah, we need more people to be
Let's go. Can I lead you?
They should just be on the plane like, no, we all want you to shut the fuck up. That needs to be the more normalized response, I think.
But it's so tough because it's only the annoying people who do speak up.
Yeah.
Right?
You're right. That is the paradox.
And that's what's really tough about being a reasonable, polite person, you know?
It's hard. It's hard to go through life being so reasonable and polite.
When there's like 8% of people that are fucking annoying narcissists.
I know. Slowly climbing. Well, on that note, hope you sleep well tonight. Good luck on your next flight.
Yeah. And thank you to Shopify for sponsoring this episode.
Okay.
What else do we want to say? Happy Taco Tuesday.
Yeah, happy 2023.
Make sure you get Christmas presents,
this
not just for yourself.
This is probably the last episode of the year ever.
I don't know. Is it? I don't know. We might do a Christmas one, maybe?
I doubt it.
Ben doesn't know. Okay. I won't speak for you. I'll just be here by myself.
All right. Happy Donkey Kong December, everybody. I hope you watch all the Planet of the Apes movies this month.
Have a wonderful Taco Tuesday. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see y'all later. Bye.